Good morning, Mr. Thomas. How do you do today?
I do good. How about you?
I'm doing pretty good. You have a good trip down to Arkansas?
I did. And it was
Yeah.
nice to go there, and the weather was a lot better than here, which wouldn't
Mhm.
take much. And the track was beautiful to watch, and had my hotel room. You could look out the window and watch the workouts in the morning, and you could watch the races.
Did you go
So,
down and watch the races at the track, or did you stay
oh
at the
yeah,
hotel room?
I went back and forth. Was able, they had the in-house channel you could turn on, watch the racing and the preliminary crap, and then you watch the race sitting in your hotel room. It was on the clubhouse turn, and it was neat to do that. It was a different perspective, and I also watched a race with a straight-on view of it when in one of the restaurants there, and that was very neat.
Sounds like fun. I fortunately had some personal issues that I had to attend to family-wise out in Philadelphia. Otherwise, I would have trekked my way down there as well. We're going to make our way for the first four on Friday in a while to Newbury Racecourse in England. And so the preliminary stuff, the weather being important today, it looks like it's a little bit windy over there. Tomorrow it's supposed to rain. The track is already listed as soft. So I would suspect, Thomas, that you're just going to see that track take on more moisture and be maybe downgraded to heavy tomorrow. But certainly, I don't think it's going to dry
I
out.
think it'll be just soft. I don't see it going to heavy. They're not predicting a lot of rain. So, um, but that it would really have to be awful to be
Mm.
heavy.
All right. Well, let's hope it's not awful. Let's hope it's a good weather day over there tomorrow. At least, I mean, it's definitely going to be wet. So I think we
Oh,
can
no
safely
question.
say the track will be soft. I don't think there's any doubt about that.
Nope.
In getting prepared today, I don't know what it is, technological problems. Yesterday we were at Hawthorne live from the track. It was a lot of fun. Again, want to thank the great people over there, more than hospitable. If you're ever in Chicagoland area, make sure you make the trip down to Stickney, Illinois to go to Hawthorne. They're going to spend another $400 million in renovations. So I think you're going to find a wonderful track down there when you do get down there. All right, Thomas. First race today. Hold on a second.
You may want to bring up the track layout.
Yeah. I know.
Because
I'm having some issues today. First race. Let's go first race first of all,
all
and then we'll
right,
bring up the track. First race is a
perfect.
mile and 4 furlongs. It's this one is the Dubai Duty Free Finest Surprise Stakes. Again, it's listed as soft. We've got 8 runners in here. And okay, I already went through the weather. Looking at the track here, I found this one, Thomas, because I figured this one would give it a little bit of 3-dimensional look to it. Some undulation in this course. They're going to start back here at this mile and 4 furlong race. Looks pretty flat back here. This turn, it's a little bit wide, but still looks a little bit tight to me, Thomas. So you've seen a lot of these races. How tight are
It's
those
not too.
turns?
It's not real tight, but position and this is a long race, so you got some time to get yourself where you want to be and how you want to sit for this.
Mm-hmm.
The best way to describe the straightaway is it undulates.
Mm-hmm.
It's not severe like some of them. This one just up and down and up and down a little. And when they travel, towards the end, they're going to be going a little downhill.
Is this one of those courses, Thomas, where they break up into like different groups? One group goes left, one group goes right, and they leave the middle of the track wide open?
For the long races, no. For the straightaway ones that we're going to be doing the 7 furlongs, yeah, we could see that.
And the mile even,
But
right? Because it looks like
generally,
a straight
I mean, they're
mile.
going to walk. Jockeys and trainers are going to walk the track in the morning, and they'll figure out where they think the best path is. A lot of times, I see them going right down the middle.
All right. So the first race here, again, the Finest Surprise Stakes. Any surprise in your picks, Tom?
Not really. Well, I should.
Well, I mean, it is the return of my favorite European horse, Hurricane Lane, 4-5 morning line favorite. So even money now. Better's kind of walking away a little bit from him.
Yeah, I mean, I put him on top. Last year, 3rd Royal Ascot and to Broome. And we know what Broome has done this year. He won in Dubai. And then his second race, his last race being, it was a bust. He was a 4-5 favorite. He did nothing. But we should point out that the winner of that race, Alpinista, won the ARC. So he wasn't facing bad horses in that race.
Mm-hmm.
it's interesting they're going to put him in Group 3 for his 5-year-old debut. Probably a good strategy overall. I mean, he's got, his record. He's got 6 wins from 10 starts. You can't, and those, of course, were all as a 3-year-old, but he was a tiger as a 3-year-old. He's one of the soft going. I mean, let's face it. If he's ready and he's back to his old self, who's going to beat him? One interesting note here is in the preliminary entries, Yabir was also entered in this race. So they scratched him out in the final entries and just left Hurricane Lane. So they must feel he's more ready than Yabir is at this point.
All right.
And why you wouldn't want to run them against each other, because this is Godolphin, this is Appleby and Buick.
Next up on your board,
I'm going to play a little bit of a long shot here. I'm going to play 8. Surrey Mist is my next choice. It's going to has draw 5. It's definitely a long shot, but it has a race this year. It raced at St. Cloud and in a Group 3 race, and it ran well except at the end. Well, to me, that's short of fitness. In his last 2 races last year, he won a listed race at Deauville, and then he won at Windsor in a Class 3. He's definitely not at the level of some of these horses, without question, but he does appear to be fit. And I think he can hit the board against some of these horses that are not necessarily ready to run. And he likes the soft going, so that should be okay. Finally, I'm going to take number 7, the mystery horse of all time, in my opinion, Mojo Star. He draw 3. This is a horse that has only won a maiden race, and was against 4 other horses that were rather average and everything. Then he runs second, he runs third in big races, but doesn't win. So his last race last year, he ran into Kipros in a 20 furlong race at Royal Ascot. He ran second, and that is the best distance horse in Europe last year. I won't certainly be surprised if it isn't again. Again, he ran second. He ran well in the Ipsen, the Derby. He's placed 5 times in 8 starts. But and we're talking the Arc. We're talking, the Irish Derby and the Arc were the 2 races he ran poorly in. But I just can't leave him off my ticket.
Well, I'm going to start off with Hurricane Lane too. I figure he's the class of the field. My concern, though, is the few times that the horse has made its first start after layoff, they weren't necessarily its best performance. I'm going to go with Max Vega as my second choice over here, the 1 horse. Max Vega, 8-1 right now. It's a horse for the course. Been at this Newbury course 5 times, 2 wins, 2 seconds. And if you look at that soft record, and if rain does make the track downgrade, that soft, heavy record is pretty solid. Number 5, Isar is my third selection in here. Israr. Another 8-1 shot here. In its first up record, has 2 wins and a third and 3 tries. So I'll take that coming off the bench. Looks like one of those horses that finds time in the barn to be to its benefit performance-wise. And on the turf, been out 8 times. In the money, 7 out of 8, so 87.5%. 3 wins, a second, and 3 thirds. Finally, Tom, I agree with you on that long shot. Surrey Mist, that 20-1 shot right now, was a tough call over your mystery horse of all time, which is kind of a statement there. But the Newbury numbers were just a little bit better than the numbers for Mojo Star. So if the number's a little bit better, why not take 5 times the odds, 20-1 versus 4-1? And one of the great things about doing English racing is that we get to use the predictor. So let's see. You
didn't use it yesterday?
I wish they had it. It would help me. But I wish I'd had less time to think on that last race because I picked that 8 horse and they won it, went off to 27-1. But we were doing everything at the last second there, and when the reason I did the reason I changed is the last time I looked at the odds were like 4-1. So I figured, well, I'll go with a horse that maybe looks a little bit better on paper. If I had known they were going to be 27-1, I would not have changed. But anyway, this looks like a 2-horse race, Tom. Hurricane Lane and your horse, Mojo Star, the mystery horse of all time. Otherwise, everybody else looks like they're just kind of back there looking for a piece of third place. So a
Yeah,
little bit,
well, it's
little
just a
to form.
matter of if Hurricane Lane shows up. If he, because I think if he runs a really dull effort here, that they're going to retire him.
You think so?
Yeah, I don't see him continuing to race unless there's something. Because I mean, let's face it, last year they ran twice, so obviously something really went wrong.
Mm-hmm. Well, let's see if the horse is back in form. And that race tomorrow morning will start at approximately, so we'll know the answer to that Hurricane Lane question Tom just posed at 8:30 a.m. Eastern
Yeah.
time.
Well, again, in the English tracks, they tend to run the better races early because of obviously the track conditions.
Mm-hmm.
So you'll see the group rate. We've got Group 3 races on the card, and they're all right in a row.
Right in a row. 1, 2, and one, and then 2, and number 2 is the Fred Darling Stakes. No question. I don't know who Fred Darling is. Do you have any idea who Fred Darling is, Tom?
No clue.
None for me either. 7 furlongs for the Dubai Duty Free Stakes, registered as the Fred Darling Stakes. So we'll just go with the Fred Darling. We'll give Fred his due, even though no one knows who he is. This looks like one of those straightaways where they just run straight, Thomas.
Well, sort of straight.
Well,
you're going to go up and down a little bit.
Yeah, maybe a little roller coaster-esque, like a little mini child roller coaster. Some berms and some bumps. In this case, when they run straight, Tom, do they tend to split up in groups here, or they just blast down the track and see who the fastest horse is?
I'm going to preface it by saying when the trainers and the jockeys walk the track, they're going to be looking for the best they think is the best path.
Mm-hmm.
And since we do know it's going to be soft, if it's the outside, they're going to do it. If it's the inside, they may run, you may just see them go right down the middle.
So do you think that first
so
race?
I'm going to go with a breaking up because I think this is an interesting field, and I think there's some speed on the outside as well as the inside.
So do you feel like the first race will give you a little hint as to what you might see in the rest of the card?
No, it will not, because that's a distance race of 1.5 miles.
Okay.
And they're going around the turn. If we had a 6 furlong straightaway one, I think then I'd get a little more. I would be more confident. But this one will be useful for the next race.
All right. Well, let's see what we think about this one then. The Fred Darling Stakes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start with number 7. Magical Sunset is with a draw 2. Winner of the last 2 races. She's won at Newbury at 7 on the heavy going, and she won that by 5 lengths. And then prior to that, she ran a 6 furlong race at Leicester and won that one. She's definitely taking up a step in class here, but she's bred to be a sprinter, and she looks like she may be a good one, even though they've talked about running her at a mile.
Mm-hmm.
And the other thing I think is interesting with this horse, she appears to be really versatile because she won on a good to firm running, and then she's run on soft to heavy going. So I always like those kind of horses. I really think she's the one to beat in this race. But the bettors are disagreeing with me because number 1, Bridestones appears to be going to go off the favorite, and that has draw 8. The comment in the form said her last race and her only race, impressive. She went 8 furlongs on the soft going at Yarmouth, and it was impressive. The breeding for her says she's a miler, so little curiosity of why they're putting her in a 7 furlong race, but the Gosden team generally knows what they're doing. And it's hard to fault them because they've been pretty successful over the years. Finally, I'm going to take number 3, Embrace. We're going to draw 13. It's an interesting horse because it's really done well in the all-weather. She's run 2 races on the all-weather. She won one of them easily. She's got a little bit of time between, but she's really strong. I mean, and went right out. And the comment in the race before that win was she, again, was close and then never really challenged. But I think the odds will be interesting here with this horse. In her debut that she ran, she went off at 20-1. And then in the next race, somebody knew something because she was an 11-4 favorite. And that's a big jump considering that the first race was it's a pretty average race. So it'll be interesting to see. I think she'll go off some decent odds. She's bred to like this kind of going. There's no reason to suggest that she couldn't. And she does have one thing. She's got races.
And 20-1. It looks like opened up at 25-1. So people perhaps seeing what you're seeing there, Thomas, in that
Possibly
odds shift. But still a pretty long favorite there. I'm going to start off all the way down here. Swing Along, the 13 horse in here. That horse is my top choice. Swing Along is a horse that is a great Group 2 winner. And it only ran down the soft track one time. And the one time it won, it beat, I think, a field of 11 by 6 lengths. The most impressive win in that horse's career. I'm going to go with the one horse as my second choice in here. I also look at that Bridestone horse. That Bridestone is a Godolphin horse, as you mentioned. That obviously they know what they're doing. Kind of interesting note that the odds, though, opened up at 7-2, went to 9-2, and went to 5-1. It's kind of moving up the board a little bit. Players moving away from that horse, maybe an indication not training that well. But it did win its debut with a huge late move. And I think today we'll answer that question, just how good this one can be. Number 7, the one you started with, Magical Sunset, is my third choice, Thomas. And I probably should either put it first or not at all in my picks, because that's what the horse does. It either wins 3 times in 5 races or completely runs off the board. I like the all or nothing horses because many times when you get the all effort, you also get good odds, because if they put together great efforts always, then their odds would be much lower. And finally, the last selection for me in the second race is the 10 horse, Remarquee. This one scored the maiden win on a soft track. And when you look at all the other ones that have like 1 race or 2 races, the class rating for this race was amongst the highest, if not the highest. So it faced maybe some of the best competition in its debut.
Yeah, it got a big number from the handicapper out of that race. So they saw something good.
Hopefully they saw the winner. Well, really want them to finish 4th. And want them to go 1, 2, 3, 4 in perfect order, so we can get that superfecta. That would they don't do superfectas over there, do they, Tom?
I've not seen that as an option. We can do the trifectas, and then we of course have the Omni,
which you can get with 2nd and 3rd or 1st and 3rd, that combination.
Right.
So we're going to do race number 3 now. I think they should have just went with instead of darn, they should have just went with damn. Watership down stud.
Oh, you didn't do the predictor.
Gosh, I forgot. That old timers kicks in now and then, Thomas. That's why I'm glad
this is a good race to run that predictor in.
Yeah, because no one knows what's going to happen in that race. All right, let's see. Magical Sunset. Tom, your top pick winning. And then Olivia Maralda coming in second. Swing Along, that 13 horse right in there. Fully Wet, Crystal Lim, and Soul Sister. So we have 2 of those horses, and the other 4 we didn't sniff. So hopefully the predictor's wrong. Well, all right, so now off to the 2 damn hot stakes.
Now we can do it, yeah.
Yeah, so they should have just made it the 2 damn hot stakes. Again, 7 furlongs like we saw in race number 2. So again, keep an eye on how the horses come out and run race number 2. If you find that the horses to the inside seem to get a better trip than the horses to the outside, vice versa, and if they split the track, which you see so many times in European racing, pay attention to which split seems to do better, because that middle point, you're going to see them go like that. You'll probably want horses on the edges then if they do split versus horses in the middle, right?
Absolutely.
Perfect. With that being said, Thomas, what do you got for us?
Where am I going to start? I'm going to start with number 7, Streets of Gold, who's drawn 8.
Sounds like a good place to live to me.
Yeah, why not, right?
Yeah.
He's run against lesser company, but he's undefeated, 5 for 5. Last race was at York. He drew the 13 post and won by half a length. He does have tactical speed, so he could get the mile, but he looks like a little bit of a sprinter to me. So this is an interesting place to start him, to see what they've got. It's interesting. He's started slowly and won. He's run all kinds of different types of races. So it's very interesting. The one thing I will say, if he wins, this will be the last time you see him at 12-1.
Probably, yeah. He is, as you said, undefeated. So I think it's just a question of what it's beat so far.
Right. Mm-hmm. Again, we're going from 2 to 3, so we'll see. Number 11, Zoology is going to be my next choice with draw 3. He does have a benefit of a start, and he won by a neck in a novice level race. And that was on the all-weather, and of course that's a 7 furlong with a turn. He ran his first race on the good to soft going for 6 furlongs at Yarmouth. Then he tried Group 1 company when he was a 2-year-old and got faced Blackbeard, and he didn't have much of a chance. He did not do well.
Mm-hmm.
I think he's good enough for placing. Finally, I'm going to take what should be the favorite, I think. Chad Dean. Chad Dean, yeah, sounds good to me. Number 1, has draw 7. Well, my top choice is undefeated. This horse has only lost once, and that was his first start.
Mm-hmm.
He's won a Group 1, Group 2, Group 3 races, and they're all at 7 furlongs. So you could maybe, does he want more distance? Well, they're starting him out at 7, and there's some big races coming up like the Guineas, so probably going to see what they got. Again, like any of these horses, all these horses, my concern is going from 2 to 3. How is that, if that record's even going to hold up? We've seen plenty of ones that have gone from that and done absolutely nothing.
Yeah, how many Breeders' Cup juvenile winners do you remember winning the Kentucky Derby, or even showing up in their 3-year-old campaign? Right?
Street Sense and Nia Quest.
So again, a lot of times that 2 to 3, that 2 to 3-year-old jump, a lot of those really successful 2-year-olds don't really carry it.
Well, Forte's looking pretty good, but
so far, yeah. We'll see what happens. Yeah, the thing about the Derby coming up, and we'll have a lot more on that as in the next couple of weeks as that big race comes here. Just looking at so many of the horses, they all come from off the pace. The ones that look like they're about to qualify. So I think you could get one that can get up front, maybe steal some softish fractions for the Derby, and maybe win it. I don't know. We'll see. I'm going to start with one that's Knight is my top pick. The 6 horse. Going to try to beat that favorite just like you, Thomas. This one's run twice, won both of them. Both of them were on the wet surface. One was on a soft surface. One was on a heavy surface. So if the track degenerates, then shouldn't hurt Knight's chances at all. Both of those races were at 7 furlongs, and the last one of them was a great Group 3 win at Newbury. So it's got a trip over the track when it was soft at 7 furlongs, scored. Why not? Hasn't been beaten yet. Chaldine, the one horse, it's run at 7 furlongs 4 times, captured a W in every single one of them. Bless you, by the way. The concern for me is that the lone miss was in that debut race. So maybe this is one of those horses that needs to get oiled up with a race, a tune-up, before it goes into its best form. I think it's going to be a big favorite here, considering it is a Group 1 winner. And I think the odds would be like 3 to 5, something like that. Charin, the 2 horse. I should probably highlight what I'm talking about here. 20 to 1. Tom, did you have this one too or not?
No.
All right. Anyway, the last race of was a Group 2. The last race in 2022 was a Group 2 win, so can obviously compete against some good horse. It was the lone trip that the horse had on a soft track in 4 races. Also won its debut, so it suggests to me this is a horse unlike the one horse that likes a little bit of time in the barn, benefits from a little bit of R&R, and should come out fresh and ready to run. And then finally, the 8 horse is my final choice. Theory of Everything at 12 to 1. I wonder what that theory actually
interesting
is.
Name. I wonder where that came from.
Yeah, I gotta imagine it has something to do with a spouse or a kid. Anyway, the Theory of Everything won its debut with ease on a soft surface, and the horse was damn near the back, and then ended up running by everybody, winning by 6 furlongs in a field of 13. And obviously, the bettors were on to this guy because he went off at odds of $3.33 to $1. So this might be one of those sneaky good horses. And one question I have, Tom, are you kind of surprised that the Riddler is 50 to 1?
Well, he was that when he was at Royal Ascot.
And he won, though, right?
And he won.
Yeah. Did I have that one that day, too? I remember.
And he had and he took, he went from one end of the track to the other, and little interference here and there. They didn't take him down. They left him up.
Must be Irad was riding. Actually, did you see there was an article, not an article, a tweet out? I forget which jockey put the tweet out talking about rough riding here in the States, and how the reason there's rough riding is because they're really not enforcing it. And because they're not enforcing it, the jockeys and everybody are paid to win. So as long as the stewards are going to let them get away with it, they're going to continue to rough ride. Did you catch that tweet?
No, I have not read that, but I will take a look for it.
Yeah, I should have pinned it. I forgot. I'm not the yeah, I should pin things. All right. Anyway, race number 3, race number 4. Oh, you know what, Tom? I forgot again.
Predictor.
Jeez, it sucks getting old. Mick Jagger was right, dude. What a drag it is getting old. All right, let's see. An English contribution for sure. Wow. All right. Well, whoever that guy is, Chaldine. He's going to be about 3 horses ahead of everybody else at the finish line, Tom, according to Predictor. Maybe that's why I didn't do the Predictor, because what's the point with this one?
Well, take a look at some of the ones that they think are going to be behind it.
Well, it does look like Knight
and
Theory
really
of Everything.
Include a lot of ours.
Well, I got Knight there in Theory of Everything.
Yeah.
There's your Zoology and Sharon. So they're all in there, I think, for the most part, except for one horse.
That's true.
Yeah. I don't know. I can't remember. It was your second pick or your third pick that didn't make it.
My second pick was Zoology. My first pick was not Magical Sunset. Streets of Gold.
Streets of Gold. That's the one that didn't make it. So, maybe the Predictor is not so apt at predicting with a little time off here at horse racing.
I mean, it's hard for me to pass on an undefeated horse.
Mm-hmm.
It didn't, and it's. I mean, it looks like they've been building it up, not rushing it and putting it into really tough races initially. But Group 3 is, I wouldn't call the toughest race in the world, but it certainly is going to. This one looks like a challenging one, and people got bigger things on their mind with these horses, and this is a nice little prep to see where they want to go next.
See what they have. I remember an Australian announcer saying, when the horse is undefeated, you just don't know how good it is until it loses.
Yeah.
So I agree with that sentiment wholeheartedly. Race number 4, Spring Cup Handicap. They're going to run 1 mile this time around, which they're going to just back up a little bit on that straightaway. It looks like they're going to start going up a little bit of a hill and then down and then back up the hill and then back down the hill to the finish line. Tom, races 2 and 3 should give us a pretty good sense of where the track is best suited to find the winner. So if the inside posts do better, upgrade the inside horses. If the outside posts do better, upgrade the outside horses. If the middle horses do best, upgrade your middle horses. We don't have the answer to that question yet, Thomas, but we do know who you're going to pick. So get started.
Well, my crystal ball is going to take number 3, Brunch, as my top choice. Has draw 8. Ran at Doncaster for his first race of the season. Ran second, lost by 4 lengths. Was on the heavy going at the distance of this race today. So he's dropping out of that race and in class down to a class 2 race for this one after running an enlisted race. And I really think he's good enough to win. He has won a enlisted race in the past, and they're changing the jockey to William Buick.
Mm-hmm.
So that tells me they think they got something.
Well, they expect the horse to at least perform and want to make sure it gets a good ride, at least very minimum.
Yeah, well, they couldn't pick a better jockey for that.
Mm-hmm.
Number 6, Al Rebo? I don't know.
I don't know either.
Yeah, I didn't.
Let's see. Al Reb. I'm going to go with Al Reb.
All right. I will go with that. Al Reb.
Mm-hmm.
Draw 7. Win the last 2 races. They were on the all-weather, and they're at 8 and 8.5 furlongs. He appears to be a much better runner on the all-weather, but he does like to finish in the money, and he's finished 3 times in the money on his flat races. He's in form, but there's that question about the whether he likes the turf or really likes the turf or not.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm going to put him in because I think maybe you get a little bit of a price on this one because of that all-weather. But he's got form. He's in form.
And 11-1 is pretty good odds for a horse that's in form.
Number 5, A Dawn of Liberation is going to be my final choice. He has draw 10. Hasn't run since July of 20. July hasn't run. And that was an enlisted race at Newmarket and did absolutely nothing. He's won a layoff before. Last year he did that at Doncaster in a Class 5 race. He's won at this distance. And, I just think he's one of those that if he's ready, I think he's going to hit the board.
Mm-hmm.
And that's what I'm thinking he can do.
You have him at 3rd. Well, I have the 6 horse as my first pick and that's Areb at 11-1. This guy I prefer on all-weather track, as you did mention, Thomas. But if you just look at his form, you mentioned it's in good form. It's a pair of necks, so 2 races where it finished second by a neck, and then again second by a neck. If its neck was just a little bit longer, it would have won 4 out of the 5 last races. So clearly a horse that's in form. Next up for me on my board is number 12. That's Latam. That looks like going to be your favorite right now at 2-1. It's unbeaten in 2 races at the distance. Again, one of those horses that's all or nothing. 5 races out, 3 wins. Again, 2 for 2 at the distance today. On the soft going, had 1 really good effort and 1 really bad effort. So hopefully we get the good effort, not the bad one here. I also went with that long shot that you singled out there, Dawn of Liberation. It looks like we're kind of going the wrong way, though, because the odds opened up at 12-1, up to 25-1. But perhaps that means you and I got it right and everybody else got it wrong, and we're going to get rewarded for our faith. It says 2 of 3 runs at a mile, today's distance, would fit very well in here. 1, the last time the horse came off of a break. The only question for me is the horse really hasn't had a shot at this type of surface yet. So we'll see if it takes to the softer going. And then finally, number 4 horse, Saga. You remember their song, Tom? Saga, their one and only hit.
No,
Are on the run tonight. Anyway.
One-hit wonders.
One-hit wonder.
Not all of those I remember.
I wouldn't mind writing a one-hit wonder. And obviously, I forget who it was. Obviously Sting is not a one-hit wonder from the Police.
Hardly.
Hardly. But I was just reading in the news not too long ago that Puff Daddy used sampled his song "Every Breath You Take." I think he's the one he sampled.
Mm-hmm.
And for when his friend Notorious B.I.G. died and they sampled that, he's got to pay him $5,000 a day every day for forever for that song. It's like $1.8 million a year. I'd be glad to write a one-hit wonder for $5,000 a day. What about you?
Absolutely. For that kind of money?
I'd write songs that P. Diddy could sample them.
It would be interesting to see on the one-hit wonders which one has been the most popular in terms of financial and also in popularity. I mean, I can think of things like Dreamweaver, and it just a couple of them have popped in my head, and I'm like, yeah, those guys, one song, they're done.
Yeah, I wonder who ended up being the most well off. Well, hopefully those who back Saga are well off. The horse's first time gelded. You don't really see a whole lot of that over there, though, Tom, do you? The first time, gelded horses for whatever reason.
Mixed bag.
Mixed bag.
I think it depends on the level of track you're talking about. I think Newbury, this is a more of a premier type of racing, even though it's early in the season. So I mean, you'd see like they're running today at Bath, and those are a little lesser types.
I think they're running today
even
too.
though there was a listed race in that group, and it looked like a pretty competitive field. I didn't watch the race.
It looks like they're running the Newbury today too. So maybe you want to watch the replays from yesterday to get a sense of how they're running around that track. But this one does run well fresh. Obviously, I'm of the thought that horses first time gelded figures it better win. Otherwise, something else might get cut off. I don't know if they can find anything more important. But again, the only question for here is the soft turf. It's not really had a chance to do that. Now, I'm not going to forget, before they cut that off, Thomas, for me, I'm going to go with the predictor here today. And we're going to, looks like a competitive race down there on the bottom. Latam, that 12 horse, looks like the predictor. But Revich, one horse that neither one of us have. Bear Force 1. There's your brunch, Thomas. Great Max. I knew a lot of people named Max. Very few of them I would put in the great category. And then, of course, Jimi Hendrix. That is definitely great, and certainly not a one-hit wonder with Mr. Hendrix.
I think he had a few decent songs.
Yes, indeed. Did you ever read about like his grave and all that kind of stuff, how they dug it up and there's like nothing in there, and people think he did like like the disappear Jim Morrison thing?
No, I didn't.
No, it's some conspiracy theories. You know how they are, Tom.
Yeah, usual collection of weirdness.
There's plenty of it to go around, man. Yeah. Spend a day at like an OTB and just here in Chicago.
Yeah, that's an adventure by itself.
Yeah. All right, race number 7. We skipped forward a few races. This one is a Dubai free Millennium Millionaire Handicap. And from what I read, there's not that many of those, folks, because what is it, like 35% of them still live with mother and father, Tom? Some big number.
Something crazy, yeah.
Yeah, so there can't be very many. So if you're a millionaire and a millennial, you're in rare air for sure. This time around, they're going to run 1 mile, 2 furlongs. So in our part of the world, that would be 1.25 miles. They're going to start here. Looks like a mid-run into that first turn, Tom. Not a whole lot of runway, it looks like. So I suspect early positioning will be key as you go into that turn. That's not as sharp as it looks on the screen. Come out of that turn, run up the berm, then down the berm to the finish line. Does that start relatively close to the turn impact the outcome of these races?
It can. But I think it's going to depend on the going. We'll see a little bit on the straightaway ones what that inside is, how that inside is playing, and if they're not winning from there, you may see them shift out with these horses a little wider on the track after they come off the turn.
So you see kind of cutting people off from the
remember,
inside
we're
out.
dealing with the last race of the day, so certainly the track conditions will have changed. Probably, depending on the rain overnight or during the racing and how much it changes. So it definitely going to play a factor in this.
Absolutely. And this one starts at 11:55 a.m. A little bit of a break from race number 4, which starts at 10:15 a.m. Of course, there's races in the middle. So if you get a beat on the track bias, maybe you might want to play those.
Yeah, those are maidens or novice, and some of them a lot of them haven't raced. So, and they're 3-year-olds. So, yeah, good luck.
Yeah, I'll link to in the horseracingtoday.net recap where I put all of Tom's stuff and my stuff up there for your review. I'll link to free past performances that you can use if you want to look at those other races in the middle. And if you want to kind of double check our homework, like an English teacher with a red pen, and correct us where we are wrong. This race, Tom, I wrote in my notes, good luck with this one. To me,
yeah,
it looks
that's
like
what
it's up for grabs.
My line was like, I have like very little confidence in my picks in this race. That's all over the place.
Yeah, that's exactly. Good luck with this one. So good luck with this one, folks. I think
you can get some nice rewards if you can figure it out.
That's exactly what I was going to go with. Demand value in this race. Don't settle. What's going to happen, Tom. Anytime I feel like hitting the all button, and this looks like an all button race type to me, you could just lock in whatever horse goes off at 4 to 5. He's going to win by 20 lengths if I feel like pressing the all button. But which one did you press first?
I'm going to try number 5, Tuxedo Junction, as my top choice, as one of the outside draws, draw 12. The last 2 races were less than great. 6th at Doncaster and 11th at Kempton. These are at the handicap level, so right around where this horse has been running. Early in his career, it's run some decent races. I mean, it has a win and 2 seconds at the maiden and novice levels, and he has a second at Newbury. Lightly raced. He's at a distance he's won it before. And like I said, they're all let's take a price.
Yeah, swing, baby. Might as well do like Babe Ruth, point to the left field bleachers out at Wrigley and swing big.
And with that, I'm going to take number 11, Stately Home, is my next choice, as draw 6. 2 races this year at Kempton. Has won at the Class 5 level, and then moved up to the Class 3 level and ran an okay 5th. He's never run this distance before, but some of his these efforts he's had before, I think in a wide open race, I think he's worth putting into this. Certainly in the money, and that's what I did. Number 7, Chantaco, my final choice. It has the outside draw of number 15. 2 races this season on the all-weather. It's been going 10 furlongs and 11 furlongs. Has a win and a 4th. He's run 3rd in his turf races, and they were at the lower level of the novice and maiden levels. So he's had some interest on the turf as well as winning, even though he has not won on it. I think it's an interesting horse. The draw does suck, but the price doesn't.
Yeah, 11-2. I mean, it looks like to me he's one of the favorites in here for sure.
Could be. I mean, but I think it's this. You're going to get some prices here. I
Yeah.
would be very surprised. Even if a favorite won, you could easily be 4-1.
And you can get, I mean, if you hit the trifecta here, you're going to get paid. I think there's no question about that. Well, I'm going to
I
start.
see it at a minimum of $1,000.
Yeah, well, let's hope that's right. And hopefully we have it, one of us anyway. I'm going to start with Mustazid, the 15 horse. Got 2 runs on a soft track, and they were both solid, and one that the bettors usually back. So we'll see if indeed they back him here. I hope they don't, and he wins. Number 6. I don't think you and I agreed on any of these horses. Myristica is my next choice. It's the right distance for this mare. She's run at the distance 12 times at 1.25 miles, and she's been in the money 10 of those 12 times. 3 wins, 4 seconds, 3/3. Ran at other distances 13 times, Tom. It has a win, nothing in the middle, and a third. So if it doesn't show up in the money today, it might not show up in the money at all. And then number 14, Time Interval, 33-1 shot. How do you like that, Tom? This one here.
Got to put one of those in there for sure.
Well, I have all in here. I think all my odds are like 15-1, 14-1, 20-1 higher. Anyway, the one was 8-1 or something like that. But anyway, Time Interval. This is one that possibly runs its best fresh. And when it did run against the 15 Mustazid, it actually beat it. So I'm getting 4 times the odd for a horse that already beat my top choice. And then finally, number 8, Sweet Reward, 14-1. You don't have that one, do you, Tom?
No, I do not.
I got one tip on this guy.
Both have completely different horses, which should tell you how the predictor we need.
Yes. Well, 7 out of 15, right? So between you and me, we picked half the horses and not one overlap. This one's done okay at the distance and done okay at the track. That's the kind of handicapping it takes in one of these races. It's just done okay at both. And the predictor, which we shall see what the predictor has to say. I would be interested to see probably what happens. All 7 of our horses will be in there. Here we go. On your mark, get set, and go. And there they go. Boom. Tiger Beetle, of course, one neither one of us have is in there as the top pick. Safely Home, Stately Home. I don't remember saying that name.
I have that one.
Okay. Wind Your Neck In. I don't remember that one.
Nope.
First Officer doesn't ring a bell either.
Mm-hmm.
Point of Fact. I don't think either of us had that one.
Nope.
And then Chantico. So you got 2 of them.
I have that one. I have got 2. Yeah.
And not it's well, you got 2 out of 3. I'm 0 for 4, brother. Mine don't even make back here. So
yeah, well, they could still be running by after this race.
Next week when we do it, they'll finally show up on the screen. So, like I said, good luck
on
with
the
predictors. That's what I meant. Yeah, so it'll still be coming later on. It'll take it that long to get there. So this race is definitely a wide open affair. I would again demand odds. Pay attention to the track biases. Maybe you'll be able to sniff one out if a particular horse is going to be well positioned based upon what you see in the prior 6 races. As you mentioned, this is the last one of the day. Any sense of what we're going to tackle next Friday, Thomas?
Yes, I do. We're going to go to Hong Kong. It's Champions Day at Shaten. And so they'll have a few good Hong Kong horses running in there. And so that'll probably be our last time we're at Hong Kong, for at least for this part. And we'll pick them up probably in September or November when all these other tracks are starting to go dormant, or areas of the world where the racing will be shifting.
And then in Kentucky Derby week, we probably won't do a foreign Friday because that'll be Kentucky Oaks Day, but Tom and I will probably get together beforehand. Is there any international flavor this year at Kentucky Derby?
We have a Japanese horse that won the UAE Derby. Probably one of the better horses that Japan put into that race. Certainly looks very attractive, won very easily. And it is in Kentucky right now and training in Kentucky. So it had a 49 and change work the other day. So could be an interesting horse. It's certainly bred. It's by Mind Your Biscuits. And he was an okay dirt horse in his day. So certainly got the pedigree.
Yeah, and is there any other international flavor that you know that's kind of slated for them?
There is a possibility the horse that ran second will also show up in there.
How about any other races?
I don't think so. That's not my understanding at this point. The Oaks, I doubt there'll be any because they don't do. I think they've put the emphasis on the Derby for getting some foreign interest because they have in Japan, they have some points. You can get points there too. And then the Dubai race, you get a lot of points in the Dubai one. But the other one that'll be interesting if the one that finished second in the Santa Anita Derby runs, if it can draw in, because it only has that one race. But that was Millennium Hero, and that one, well, it gave a good fight in that race. So it certainly could be one to consider too.
All right. Well, we'll be certainly looking for that. Well, if there's not a big international favor, then Tom and I will probably make our way back to the TV here on YouTube on Kentucky Oaks Day. Maybe we'll come on a little bit earlier so that
we can talk about the Oaks too.
Yeah, we can get a little bit of action in on that big weekend at the Kentucky Derby. Of course, the whole team will get together for some preview stuff on this channel. So to make sure you don't miss any of our Kentucky Derby coverage, make sure you hit the like button on YouTube. Follow us on all of our social media. The horse race.
I assume you're doing your wagering guide too.
Yes, of course. We'll be doing a wagering guide, and that's yeah, the wagering.
That's
guide.
A mess.
Yeah, well, it's just a. I can't use the word, but it's a bleep ton of work. Believe me, especially on like these big weekends like the Derby and the Belmont Stakes and the Preakness and then the Breeders' Cup, because it's 2 days of racing, not just one. So it's like 15, 14 races, a lot of races. And it's just, and I'm looking at every single angle, and you got horses coming from here and there and everywhere. And you're trying to normalize who does what relative to whom. In any case, all those 4 races, what we've done over at Guaranteed Tip Sheet is we've put together a winning superfecta package, all of the wagering guides for every single day of the Triple Crown races, as well as the Breeders' Cup. And you can get that package for half off. There's a link in the descriptions over everywhere on Our Horse Racing Today. You'll find it in our descriptions on YouTube as well. Please click on that or just go to Guaranteed Tip Sheet. You'll see up in the header the ultimate package. That is the Breeders' Cup Triple Crown package. It's the best thing we've put together deal-wise ever at Guaranteed Tip Sheet. So head on over there, check that out, give you a really good sense of what we're doing. You get all the picks for those days for every track as well. It's a hell of a package. I'm sure that those who do take advantage of it, and many have so far, we appreciate that. They'll be glad that they did. Never perfect, Tom, because that's horse racing, but always prepared is my motto.
Yep, got to be.
Indeed, and you will definitely be prepared.
Get those numbers and crunch them and then throw them all out and pick something else.
Yeah, right. Just fade, baby, fade. Right. Go 1990s haircut on that stuff. All right, Thomas.
Absolutely.
Well, good to be back with you again on this Foreign Friday. It's been a little bit of a vacation since we've been together. So looking forward to next week at Shaw 10. Tomorrow, I will be back with at least Charles. We'll do the largest carryover, or maybe there's like $1 million guaranteed pick for
us. A big one today at Keeneland.
I hope it rolls over again, because that would be perfect.
That one rolled over. That'd be a good one to do.
Yeah, so we'll know more once the racing is done today. That'll all be posted on our social sites. And then on Monday, I'll be back with Charles for Parks. Tuesday, I'll be Terry makes his return back to the morning handicapping show. And of course, next week, Jamie and Sean will have another roster of fantastic guests on Horse Center, 8 p.m. Eastern. Again, the best way to make sure you don't miss anything is to subscribe to our social stuff. Till we get back together again, Thomas, on this Friday, we hope that no matter what you do for the rest of this weekend, you got God's grace and that everything you do ends up in
the winner's circle.
Indeed. Tom with some enthusiasm in his return. Have a fantastic weekend.